Damn it, Rodriguez. You had a series that could turn children's dreams into gold. And what do? You throw it all away. And for what? Barracuda Boy and Magma Girl? Spy Kids had it all. Cheap labor, quick productions, and a huge return. That series had at least 7 more movies in it. Maybe it still does. Maybe I'm the only one who can bring Spy Kids back to its former glory. What kind of acting talent could ever compare to the amazing chops that series had? What plots could I write that would challenge the complexities and subtleties that the Spy Kids series deserves? You know what? I will figure that out. Okay. Sounds good. Why not? This is good shit. Still need a good plot, though. Oh, that's the ticket. I hear you're looking for a new children's film.
Not exactly. We're looking for a biopic on Kim Jong-il.
Then this will seem extremely ill-advised. Okay, ready? Spy Kids.
No.
No? What do you mean? What do you mean no? Usually let me flail around for a little bit before you shut me down like that massage parlor therapist who's the only one in all of LA who doesn't give a hand job. So why not?
Because we don't have the rights. And even if we did want the rights, which I do not want, we couldn't afford it. Not at all. Can't afford any of it.
Okay, what if we don't call it Spy Kids, but it still is the same characters, backstory, and plot?
No.
Alright, what if we drop the characters and keep the backstory and plot?
No.
Okay, what if it has nothing to do with Spy Kids at all, down to it not even being about spies? Is that good enough?
Well, it depends. Do you have a cast?
Kinda.
Do you have a plot?
Sorta.
Do you have a budget?
Yes. I am only asking for a mere $4 million.
Was that billion or million?
Uh-huh.
I'll give you 3.
Okay, $3 billion. I can work with that.
3 million.
Million? Alright. I'm gonna have to, cut down on the dinosaur laser fight in Act 5. But, yeah, I can do it. I vow I will make this movie good.
In all candidness, you seem like you really want to get this movie made. It seems to be like a personal project for you.
Yeah, I kind of grew up on it for the past day.
I'll tell you what. I'll relax some of the restrictions on the shooting schedule. I'll extend your shooting schedule a little bit.
Awesome. How much time do I have?
You got all the time in the world.
All the time in the world. Sir, nobody has ever wanted all the time in the world. There is not a soul alive who has ever asked for all the time in the world. Ever. So have it done in 3 months.
Okay. Good.
Why do we keep cutting to that guy?
I have absolutely no answer.
I don't like him. Make it stop.
I've been trying, but she's getting bolder.
Okay.
Is someone there? Is someone there?
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone.
You really did that?
I don't know. I think he exists in and around time.
I thought he was just some Hollywood jackass.
So did I. He exists off cocaine and bad movies.
So he's Big Dakota.
Boom!
Oh!
Yeah, what's up?
That whole thing, all of it, just for a Dakota joke.
Yeah, we always watched him today.
But we didn't. Instead, we watched this movie today. Matthew?
Yeah, Spy School.
Spy School.
Spy School. Fuck this movie. This movie had a cast of people that we both recognize.
Every single time a new person popped up screen,
Like,
I was like,
hey,
what are you doing here?
Hughley.
Guy from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, a girl from Bridge to Terabithia.
Girl from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Comedian guy. Red hair kid. Cindy Lou Who. I'm not even kidding. That's about it. All right, should I give actual plots?
Yeah,
the early one
might as well.
All right. In this movie, there is a pathological liar named Thomas who, he lies a lot. No reason why. Probably just be funny, escape from reality, whatnot. But he is just insanely popular with the student crowd. Or, that's the way anybody else would see it. But he sees it. He's nerdy and unwelcome. So, so he finds out through a very stupid bunch of situations that the president's daughter, which is visiting their school for reason number 4,
Dance.
for
the odd dance.
She's going to be kidnapped by an unknown assailant. And this whole movie revolves around the fact of which of the adults can be trusted and cannot be. Because that's the whole movie.
I don't know who is good and who is bad. And it's literally a joke at one point, which was legitimate, actually. That was a legitimate
That was a good
reason.
joke. Then it came to the ending, and it ended up being the guys that he thought was originally guilty were actually Secret Service, which we called, and then they subverted for a second, and we were like, "Where?" And then they brought it back.
Yeah, this is like
and then there were the faculty who weren't good or bad; they were just kind of dicks.
just assholey people.
And then you had a comedian.
He was an asshole kid, though.
Yeah.
He's a dick. I don't understand why all the hype around this guy. This guy sucks.
And then you had the comedian character who's actually the villain of the whole thing.
Spoiler! No, not really.
Motherfucker. Alright. What can we say about the characters of this film, Matthew?
Well, the first thing that I want to say about these characters is the fact that there were none. I mean, seriously, like, these were barely even qualifying as stereotypes or anything. And I'm not saying, like, I've gotten to a point now where bad writing, especially when it comes down to characterization, bad writing, I just kind of tune out now. I don't remember so much of this movie now. We just finished watching it, and I've forgotten like half of this movie. Because nothing fucking happened. The main plot of this movie doesn't even start occurring until over half an hour into the fucking thing.
That is, it spent, here's, boil down the first act a little bit more. He lies.
And lies.
That's all he does.
Houses of lies.
And then he gets in trouble for lying because that's what happens. And then
it's consequences, fucker.
He's on his rooftop with Terabithia. Everyone in this movie has a code name that we assign to them. Terabithia is the girl from Terabithia. You know her. Her name's Aunt Sophia something.
Yeah, I think she's not bad. No, but then again, her character sucks.
Yes, all characters suck. But anyway, gets in trouble. And then she ends up kissing him, sparking off a romantic interest. Then they had this whole nice little montage scene performed by Huckapoo, which is the band in this movie.
It's a very hooking up type thing and whatnot.
Yeah, and then they just go through about a minute and a half of this music thing where they're just like, do I want this girl or this girl?
Oh, it was great montaging. Mm-hmm. It was great montaging. Alright.
Hold on. Here's the issue. When they did that, that was 20 minutes in. We had not seen anything about the president's daughter at all. We had not seen him barely interact with the other girl at that point, but he was still totally infatuated with her. We had seen
Again, hook me
nothing
up.
to develop the first relationship of the girl that just kissed him.
We're just assuming that these guys have been really tight for a while.
Like, bitch, you spent 20 minutes on nothing happening except establishing that this kid lies a lot, which can be accomplished in, like, 2 scenes.
Oh, they have exposition very well. It's like, oh, who has a dad? Oh, not me.
Yeah, he's
Subtle.
Like, yeah, my brothers and father, they all went in to see the big game. And my mom, oh, that's right, I don't have a mom. A+ writing there. No,
Yeah.
That's, beautiful.
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Oh my god.
All right.
There's none of the characters.
None
are
of them stand
substantial
out.
enough
None of them stand out.
to talk about.
And it's not really that, like, there's just nothing that really happens in this movie. I mean, there's less that happens in this movie than happens in one section of the movie Nostalgia. And to give you, any of you guys who don't know Tarkovsky, there is a 15-minute scene where a guy sits on his bed, takes off his boots, pets his dog, and goes to bed.
That sounds exhilarating compared to this.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I remember that scene.
Here's the issue with this movie, I think, with the characters. They wanted it to be so much that each of these characters could be the villain, the one that's kidnapping the president's daughter.
And they had us guessing.
But the fact that they wanted each of the characters to be that, they couldn't ever branch off too much into actual characterization for said people.
They
Each of them-
started that way too early in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the possible vilification of that stuff.
Mhm.
Even before the main plot had begun. So, it's really ill placed.
Every single person in this movie basically had to be confined to the same bubble.
This isn't Clue.
They might be evil, but they might not be.
Seriously, this is not Clue.
Every single character, except for the kid's mom, the kid's dad, and the best friend, were all boiled down into that bubble of, well, I think they could have done it, but maybe they didn't do it. There's no possible way to differentiate between characters when all of them are given the exact same shit.
And again, this movie's called Spy School, right?
Oh god.
Like,
Are we into that
seriously.
now?
Like, it goes right into the characters and in the writing. Alright, I don't know if this was an alternative title that became the main one, or if this was called something else beforehand and went through a couple of different title changes. There's nothing. Alright, if you think of the term spy school, you get possibly, and this is the first comparison I came up with, was Spy Kids meets Sky High, kind of like the whole, we're all in school because we're all super cool kids and we're all learning to be awesome spies and whatnot. Antonio Banderas pops out of somewhere, I don't know. But the thing is, though, that's what was something along those lines we were expecting. David suggested...
Agent Cody Banks.
Yeah.
Tiny little Frankie Muniz movie.
As bad as that movie was, it's exactly what I was expecting that was going to come out of this movie. But
this was not that.
that is not what we got.
No.
Not even bloody close. Because there's nothing to do with spying in this damn thing. He runs across a little shred of evidence that
Not
says that
even
this is
that.
going to happen. No. He runs across it by accident.
Yeah.
And whatnot, because he's trying to find a fucking football. So he himself is not an inquisitive person. He is just there by happenstance. And he's just trying to tell people, so it is basically, and you've already made this comparison originally in the beginning, it's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, pretty much.
Woody fucking doodah.
The only difference between this Boy Who Cried Wolf and the original Boy Who Cried Wolf is in the original Boy Who Cried Wolf, the boy failed at that point. When no one would believe him.
That's the moral lesson of the story.
Fucking guy. In this one, however, he's like, oh, well, I was actually telling the truth, and so I'll have to save her myself. And he does. And
Shenanigans ensue.
There's no real moral to this story when you think about it. Unless you go to the romantic subplot, where the moral is, sometimes the person you need is right there next to you all along.
Remember what he said to her in the beginning of the movie? I want to keep my options open. I am your only option. She's literally flinging herself at, alright, There is one thing that some of you guys have actually asked me to review. There's one thing that this reminds me of, just off the bat. It reminds me of the anime School Days, where the main character is an unlikable prick, and all of these female characters of varying degrees of physical attractiveness are constantly throwing themselves at him just because he is him. And regardless of whether or not he's actually manipulating the situation or not, or fully aware of what he is doing, they do not care, even if they themselves are fully aware that he is doing it. This is not at all to the insane degree that show gets to, but when it comes down to this character, it's the same basic fucking principle. That means I don't fucking like him. That means I'm not rooting for him. That means I have absolutely nothing to connect with these characters whatsoever, because guess what? You need empathy in order to connect with the protagonists in some way, shape, or form.
Alright, I want to point one thing out about our protagonist.
I don't care if this is a kid's film or not. Fuck you.
I want to point out one thing about our protagonist. The first 20 minutes were made to pound the fact into our heads that this kid lies. He lies a lot. He takes the truth.
And his dad's everything.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's his dad. Well, hold on, I'll get to that. But then immediately, the moment that he discovers the plot about the president's daughter being kidnapped, lying thing just, fuck it, doesn't even matter.
Yeah, he doesn't lie anymore.
No. He doesn't lie anymore, but nobody else in the movie cares that he lied anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the movie
they're just being dicks to him.
They just genuinely don't like him. You could replace it with any reason. He could have fucked all their moms for all they care in the plot. But it doesn't matter that he was a liar anymore. Nobody ever questions the fact of, oh, is he telling the truth this time? Or, oh, no, he's just being the same one he always has been. They just flat out just don't like him. They never explain it. They never question maybe he's telling the truth. No, they're just like, fuck you, Miller. But
you're not getting in this dance, Miller. Not over my dead body.
Pretty much. The only time that the Lion King does come back into play is there's a subplot about what his dad actually does for a job. And by subplot, I mean it takes up 2 scenes and it doesn't fucking matter.
And it just proves that this guy's ashamed of the fact that his dad is a trash guy.
The guy collects trash.
Whoop-de-doo-dah, you're ashamed of that? And also, alright, this is a problem that I have with a lot of kids' movies in general. And we pointed this out to a certain degree. You did point this out when they were talking on the roof and whatnot. A lot of problems that adults have with writing movies that have primarily kid stars is that they have absolutely no idea how to write kids.
Yeah.
These kids are supposed to be 12.
Well,
these kids they're not fucking acting like they're 12.
No.
And I'm sorry, a 12-year-old would most likely, regardless of whether or not he was a pathological liar or not, be believed that there is a terrorist plot to shoot or kidnap the president's daughter from the school that is going to take place because of just the fact that you are a 12-year-old kid.
Even if none of the parents believe him, they're just like, oh, there's just this kid. Oh, he always lies all the time. And the teachers are all that way too.
Somebody's going to take that shit seriously.
There is two undercover Secret Service agents at this school who do not know this kid personally. If they hear that, hey, someone is going to kidnap the president's daughter, at no point are they going to be like, do you think this kid ever lies a lot? And as such, we should probably ignore any threats and or comments he makes about our only job here. Yeah, it seems like a good thing. Let's just move it on with the movie.
If someone even poses a fucking threat on a message board, their house is fucking raided, people.
It was not too long ago. What was that? The Twitter fiasco with the airlines.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And guys, think about this. the release date of this fucking movie is 2008. I do not believe this movie was made even close to 2008. I think that the latest this movie was made was at latest 2006. Probably 2005. Because this is a movie that is not letting go of the 90s.
At all.
There is even the little montage sequence that lasts like a minute and a half, it's so 90s, it's so Dawson's fucking Creek that you saw me. I'm just sitting there in amazement. I'm like, this is really happening.
I think the real moment that it really hit us though was this is 2008. The first iPhone is being released right now. Okay,
Big old flip phones.
2008. They had these big ass bulky flip
The one that
phones.
gives you cancer. It's like,
like hello, yes.
It's just a step above the 80s ones.
Hold on, I just gotta.
I gotta push the button.
Pretty much. They're not 2008 phones. Push it back a few years, maybe.
And to be fair, we can nitpick, but at the same time, though,
There was also the soundtrack.
Soundtrack.
The soundtrack the entire time.
Who was the group?
Fuck. I said it at the beginning, and now you maybe.
I didn't make you forget shit.
Who?
Either way, you'll all know. But yeah, they did a lot of the songs. They did like what, like at least four.
Huckapoo.
But like they did like four.
Yeah. One of which was a cover to Macho Man by Village People.
Yeah. Okay, who fucking.
Yeah, it's
90s.
Yeah.
And I know Macho Man was not a 90s thing. It came back big in the 90s. We are both 90s kids. We fucking know what was big in the 90s when we were that age.
Anyway, back to this movie.
Assholes.
Wow, okay. Back to this movie.
Hey, 90s. Grunge punk, Nirvana, shit.
What else is there to say? The characters are really the biggest flaw in this movie, I think.
To be fair, like, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, nothing happens. Like, this is a movie, especially regardless of whether or not that this is going to be a spy school movie like it's supposed to be. And if you're really just going to focus just, straight in on, on the plot for the president's daughter and all that jazz,
you still need the first half hour of the film.
You still need tension of some sort. Regardless of whether or not this is a kid's movie. I'm sorry. All right, one of the most tense moments in movies came from a kid's film. Toy Story 3?
Oh, God.
Near the end of Toy Story 3 with the giant fucking disposal scene? Yeah. Even if you didn't grow up watching Toy Story, you fucking knew that was a goddamn tense scene. Yeah. David knows. David understands. That was a tense fucking scene.
I think the most tense scene in this movie is they had the...
One more, and then I'll finish with that. One good example in another kid's movie now, to be fair, it's Pixar, but at the same time, Monsters University. You all know that Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters, Inc. Except at the very end of the movie, when Mike is going through that fucking door, you're like, shit, Mike, don't go through that fucking door. And shit's gonna go down. And you know what? It's fucking tense. Why? Because they know how to do build-up, execution, and payoff.
This movie, the most tense moments we had, there were two. There was one moment where Terabithia and Thomas, they had a gun pointed at them. No real intent to fire, just get him to shut up for a few minutes was the only real intention of the character.
Which I thank you.
And then he didn't sit there and he had the gun trained on them, making sure he doesn't leave. No, he just left and told them, you stay here and don't do anything.
You count. And when you finish counting, you can leave. Okay. 1.
I think we're done now.
2. Okay, he's good.
And then the second moment was in the very, very end. Spoiler. Yes. There was the scene where the president's daughter and Thomas were both in a helicopter with the comedian villain character who, Well, it's the best way to say it is the father of Thomas was driving underneath the helicopter, which can go any way in the three-dimensional space, but he chose to follow the roads,
Perfectly.
following underneath him with a garbage truck, so that they could jump off and land safely in the, of course, very soft and definitely no glass shards of garbage beneath them.
Oh! Boy.
Exactly.
Like, and they jumped from a fucking far distance. I do not believe that they wouldn't have at least sprayed into something.
Those are the two most tense scenes. Now, if you really want to get technical with it, I guess technically you can include, there was one more moment afterwards, which was the romantic twist, quote unquote, which I'm just going to go into this for a second, because it threw us for a loop.
This is Electric Boogaloo. Fuck it.
They had the scene where it was British girl and Terabithia.
Yeah, good British accent, by the way.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're British or not.
I was about to defend her, but I'm like,
nah, it ain't that good.
All right. Anyway,
she's not bad, but that accent ain't good.
No,
You must get a proper dialogue coach. Continue.
I had to choose between Terabithia and British girl a while ago. And he's like, I'm gonna choose Terabithia. I mean, come on, she's my best friend, and I came here with her. And then Terabithia's like, whoa, dude.
This whole
fucking movie, you've been chasing after her, and she's fucking hot. We're paraphrasing. She's fucking hot.
And she is now throwing herself at you.
Go for it. And she's like, and the dude's like, he knows what the cliched ending is, and he's trying to get to it. He's like, but I came here with you.
And it's an open road. It's an open road to the cliche ending.
Yeah, and he's like, I came here with you. And she's like, fuck it. And he shoves him off with her, and they walk away together. Terabithia left standing behind, and it's like...
But then he stops.
No, he doesn't. He looks back occasionally, but he keeps walking. He just fucking goes.
He walks her home.
He walks her home, and then he comes back, and his tie's a bit loose, and so is his suit. And
I think he fucked her.
I think he did, and this is weird because it's 12, and we're going to get banned off YouTube now.
Nah, man, there was an article in Time Magazine, a whole bunch of elementary school kids fucking in the classroom, and like, you know what, you guys are a little too intense for me, man. That was a little early for me.
Anyway,
just a bit. But at the same time, you cannot deny that it takes place. We are from Carroll County. If you look up Carroll County on the national news, you'll find out what we're famous for. But...
Oh, I'm sorry!
Final thoughts.
No, I'm not fucking done with my earlier thoughts that you fucking interrupted.
I ain't gonna fucking...
So, then it comes back to a later scene of her sitting on a park bench, and he walks up, looking disheveled, and he is like, no, I basically did her, but I prefer you at this point. And she's like, oh, well, that's cool.
Again,
and they walk off happily, merrily over to another dance where Huckapoo is playing on stage, and that's a thing. And now I'm done my goddamn thought.
And think about that. This band, which supplied part of the soundtrack, mind you, is performing at a middle school function.
Oh, God.
How good is their music career going if they're performing at a middle school function?
Hey, this middle school had the president's daughter.
Why did any of this happen? There was no, besides the fact that there was that one girl, they basically took this entire plot from from the episode Weight Gain 3000 from South Park. It was that episode where Cartman ripped off, On Walden Pond or something like that by Emerson, and won a national essay contest, and Kathy Lee Gifford came to the town to give him an award and all that jazz. So it's basically the entire same exact plot setup and had the same amount of importance to the overall scope of the entire thing. I was bored. Bored through all of it.
That's your final thought?
My final thoughts is just simply the fact that this movie was unbelievably forgettable. It had a very recognizable cast, but yet at the same time, this movie is dated. It definitely came out way after it was made, And finally, the fact of the matter is that I'm not going to remember this by the end of next week.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow, for that
It's
matter.
pretty standard. My final thoughts on this film. I have a few. First of all, it's a kid's film. We shouldn't have watched it. We shouldn't have.
You picked it.
We get very judgmental when it's people. But that's because my second thought that I expected fucking Spy Kids and Sky High combined together. Bitch. I mean, here's the exact story I wanted. Boy, don't give a fuck what he does. Wants to be important in some given way. Is thrown into extraordinary circumstances that forces him to become a spy. Rest of movie is a super toned down version of a James Bond film. That's all I want.
He wears a tux at one point.
Yes! But all they fucking do is literally stuff happens around this character. He only intervenes once, and even then, another character has to come in and save him. He's not important. This kid is not important, and yet he's hailed as a hero of this story. He's just a fucking kid who happened... The only reason this kid was in the helicopter with the first daughter, I think that's the proper term,
Yeah.
is because he was forced in there, hostage-wise, by the gunman.
I'm here to save you. Right.
Okay, good job.
Good for that. Good for you. Good for your parents.
So that's the only reason he was up there. And the one who was driving the truck, his father, was the only reason they both survived. So he was forced into that situation by a gunman and got out by his father. At no point did he do anything heroic besides deciding to jump and convincing the president's daughter to do the same. That's the only thing he did. That's not that heroic. I'm sorry to say it's not. Maybe for a 12-year-old in a very, very boring place, it could be. But this is... I would be saying that his father should get most of the praises. He was driving the truck.
The work.
He was driving the truck that saved the president's daughter, along with his own son.
If he was going about 5 miles slower and whatnot, they would have landed right on the roof of his car and went splat.
If they drove off the road by 5, or if the helicopter went off the road by 5 feet, same thing.
Or if he accidentally switched lanes or whatever.
Any number of things. And yet all the stars aligned and the father managed to make this miracle happen.
He should have gotten all the fucking recognition. Fuck that son of his.
The only reason I think that they really gave it to the son was the fact that he was saying all this shit before him.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh my god, we're so sorry we didn't listen to you. Here's the key to the city. Bitch, no.
Fuck you.
Look, if somebody predicts that the economy is going to make a downturn and then it goes into a downturn, you say, oh man, we should have listened to him. Sadly, that is what happened, but it shouldn't be. Anyway, I'm getting divergent here. Point being...
Divergent?
You know what I mean.
Movie's coming out.
It's not...
Plug.
It's not a good representation of anything. Even its own plot, it doesn't do well. It has so many holes in it. Each of the characters is like 7 different ages combined. I didn't care about anything that happened on screen. All right, the most interesting thing that happened throughout the course of the entire movie was the fact that they were like, and to celebrate our hero saving the president's daughter, here's Huckapoo. And I was like, what the fuck's a Huckapoo? And then the band started playing, like, oh.
It's the Goodwill version of the Spice Girls.
Yeah, it is. And that's all it was.
It's not even Goodwill. It's like the day-old Panera bread they give to the homeless shelter.
Alright, and that is what we thought about Spy School. Neither spy nor... Well, okay, it was kind of a school, a little bit. But it wasn't teaching spy stuff.
Not too much intelligence.
That's the issue, exactly. And as much as we would like to, do something spy-y or school-y in homage to this film, there was none of that in this film. So instead, to give this film a send-off here on ShitFlix, we're going to instead pay homage to...
the 90s.
The 90s. Hit it.